do not forget to vote. Yeah, polls will be open because one of the most talked about races in Tuesday's runoff for the bid for Fulton County DA, Paul Howard, he's held that seat for 23 years. He's fighting to keep it in a very tight contest against his former employee, Fani Willis. Well, we spoke with both candidates one-on-one about the race. You can hear from the incumbent, Paul Howard, coming up at 6:15. But first, here's his challenger, Fani Willis, on how she says she would fix the district attorney's office.
The cases that need to be charged will be investigated properly so that victims can actually get the justice that they deserve.
Fani Willis says that didn't happen when her former boss and now opponent, Fulton County District Attorney Paul Howard, brought charges against two Atlanta police officers just days after one of them shot and killed Rayshard Brooks. It followed several nights of protests and unrest in Atlanta. This was a very emotional case, and some may feel as though if nothing happened, that the streets would continue to burn.
You brought up a word that I find extremely interesting. Emotions were high. That is the absolute worst way a district attorney should be making decisions. It was absolutely done to gain a political advantage. And it was done at the cost of the Brooks family and at the cost of the community.
Willis worked by Paul Howard's side for more than a decade. During that time, a former paralegal says she was sexually harassed by DA Howard for several years. Just one of a string of allegations against him. Did you see any situations where now you look back and say, something was amiss there?
People had told me for years that there was an inappropriate sexual relationship between those two. But because I held him in high esteem, I honestly thought he was too smart to do it.
Do you understand?
Willis says she has raised more than $400,000 in her bid to become the first Black female district attorney for Fulton County. But $2,500 of that money came from the police union. Her opponent and the Atlanta chapter of the NAACP call that a conflict of interest. Was there a possibility of you not taking that donation from the police union?
No. Why should the police officers not say, we want a DA that ain't about to get indicted. We want a district attorney with integrity. They have a right to invest in me just as everyone else does.
Willis says despite the donation and endorsement, officers will still be held accountable.
I respect police officers, but what we know is they hold too much power. And for even one of them to act a fool, act up, be disrespectful, treat people in a racist manner, it's 100 too many.
Willis says as DA, she will focus on a diversion program to help those accused of minor offenses get back on track. And she promised transparency as a first-year goal. And by the second year, citizen review boards to examine use of force by police.
Everybody's not going to agree with all of my decisions. I mean, that's life. Your mate doesn't agree with all your decisions. But what they will have is a record of them, and that I made them, and that I made them based on facts and the law.
Now, Willis received 42% of the vote in the June 9th primary compared to Paul Howard's 34%, so this will be a tight race.